Today on Hands on Photography, my mouth has just been, it's just been watering. Whew. We're going to talk about some food photography. Stay tuned. Hands on Photography is brought to you from LastPass Studios. Using the same password everywhere is a security nightmare waiting to happen. LastPass easily creates unique passwords for every site. Visit lastpass.com/twit.
This is TWiT.
This episode of Hands on Photography is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect your online privacy with one click. For 3 extra months free with the 1-year package, go to expressvpn.com/hop. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Pruitt, and this is Hands on Photography here on TWiT TV. I hope y'all are doing well. I'm unbelievable as always. This is the podcast where I like to sit down and share with you different tips and tricks and ideas that are going to help make you, number one, a better photographer, and number two, a better post processor. Yes, this show. That's what we do here. It's a lot of fun to sit down and share these tips with you. I don't care if you're just a beginner. I don't care if you're a seasoned pro. Actually, I do care if you're a seasoned pro. This show really ain't for you. This is more so for you just getting started or just trying to sharpen your skills a little bit and get more comfortable with your camera and post-processing. If this is your first time joining this week, I really do appreciate you joining. So while you're here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button in your favorite podcatcher of choice. We're available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and pretty much anything else that's out there. Or you can just visit the website, twit.tv/hop. And that's twit.tv/HOP for Hands on Photography. And you'll see all of the subscription options there. Heck, you can even just watch it right there on the website too. Your choice. All right. Thank you again for all the support. Let's go ahead and get started with this week's show. Okay, so if you're checking out this podcast, there's a real strong chance that you're into photography one way or another. All right, so with that said, if you're into photography, I got a strong sense that you're into, you're checking out social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or Flickr, or some sort of social media. Okay, now with that said, I would say there's a particular type of photography that you come across at least one time a week. I can almost guarantee it. At least one time a week, this particular style of photography shows up on your feeds. And what I'm talking about is food photography. Okay, so why is food photography showing up almost every single week, at least one time a week in your feed? Well, it's because food is something that just resonates one way or another with every single person, whether it's a positive reaction, whether it's a negative reaction. Food gets some sort of reaction from people viewing those images. It is what it is. And right now we are still dealing with COVID-19 and all of the different social distancing and physical distancing and shelter in place and restrictions and all of that stuff. This is a type of photography style that anybody can do, especially right now, because it doesn't matter about all of the resources you have. You can have some additional resources that can help, but this is still one of the most easy types of photography that you can do, especially as a beginner, even with your smartphone. So we're going to dive into that, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the ins and outs and the things that make food photography shine. And in addition to that, I'm going to share a particular friend of mine over on the Twitterverse that I just love so much. Her work is outstanding, and she allowed me to share her work because I think she gives some excellent examples with her photography. Okay, so let's go ahead and just talk about some of the generalities of food photography. Okay, first, you got to have food in it. It could be a beverage. It could be a single grape. It could be a big plate of food, whatever. You got to have some food in it. Okay. So after you have your food, next, think about the stories. Think about what you're trying to present with that. A lot of times food photography is done with a top down aspect where they put the camera right above the food and shooting directly down to the plate or to the serving or what have you. And depending on the scene, depending on the lighting, that works really well. Some people do macro photography where they get really, really close to the food so you can pull out some more details. That's another thing to look at. So you have the different types of compositions to get your story. And the next thing to worry about is your color and your lighting. I've already talked about different lighting aspects in episode 8, as well as the proper use of light modifiers and diffuse lights in last week's episode 44. So when you're doing food photography, there's 2 types of rule of thumb that you will notice is in pretty much all of the popular food shots that you see out there. The lighting is either super flat, meaning everything is evenly lit and it's flat, or it's usually directional to where you're going to get some hard or soft shadows on one side of the plate or one side of the food, and the other side of it is well lit. And there's a reason for that. Shadows help carve out and define whatever it is you're looking at. For example, if you're looking at this podcast right now, I have some lights, the key light shining on me right now in the front of my face. And then I have this hair light shining back behind me. If I turn off this hair light, it totally changes how I look in this scene. It totally changes the mood. As a matter of fact, I should probably start talking a little bit more like this because it's a softer tone and it just sort of works with the vibe that you see on the screen with the nice soft shadow on my face. You know, so it's things like that you can consider with your food photography when it comes to light. And then also, like I said, color. Have that color that's just right. It could be oversaturated. It could be properly saturated. You could desaturate certain parts of it just to sort of make things stand out. All of those aspects just come into play and can really make your food photography captivating. Now, I'm going to show you some examples shared by my great friend. But before we do that, we're going to take a break to thank this week's sponsor, the fine folks at ExpressVPN. This episode of Hands On Photography is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like going to the bathroom and not closing the door. Your internet service provider knows every website you visit. ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so your online activity can't be seen. Fire up the app, click one button, and you're protected. I use ExpressVPN at home on my personal Wi-Fi, so if you're like me and believe your online activity is your business, secure yourself by visiting expressvpn.com/hop today. Use my exclusive link, expressvpn.com/hop, and you can get an extra 3 months free. That's expressvpn.com/hop. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at some shots here from my awesome friend, Sakaya Schuler. And let me see if I can hop over to my screen here. Boom, we got it. Follow her on Twitter. I'm telling you right now, she is the best Twitter account that you could follow. She has some pretty amazing content, and it's not always food. She's just an all around great person, but she's definitely one of the most popular food photographers you're going to see out there. But more on that in a second. So here's a shot from her. It's just, some beef and potatoes, but notice how this is lit. Again, we have the top down aspect, and the lighting on it is pretty flat. You don't see much of a shadow. If you see a shadow, it's here in the lower left corner of the potato spuds here and around the edges on the right side. So that tells you the light is shooting straight down on top of the food. You can tell also from how it has these little bit of specular highlights showing up in there. But again, it's fairly flat. It's fairly soft lighting. And I've asked her about this in the past. I've mentioned to her, I said, you know what, Sakaya, your shots just are so beautifully lit. What are you doing? What kind of lights are you using? And you know what she says? Oh, it's just my kitchen. It's her kitchen light. And the thing is, folks, we all have beautiful lighting in our homes. We just have to understand how to take advantage of it. But yeah, this light is soft, diffuse, and it makes this shot shine. That's a tongue twister. So I want to show this other shot this one. Now, this is a slightly different take because, all right, you get the top down aspect, but the lighting is a little bit differently. It's just a little bit more off to the side. You can see there's some deeper shadows here. The texture, she's gotten a little bit closer, so you're pulling out more details and more texture. And then this guacamole here is super duper vibrant. It gets your attention. Green, boom, look at me. You know, she's handled her saturation in this shot, and it just really makes it stands out. Now, in addition to sharing her Twitter stream with me, she has also sent over a couple images for me to share with you all here on the show. So I'm going to open up Lightroom so we can take a look at some of her photographs here. All right, so let's start with, actually, I don't want to start with that one. Let's go back to this one here. All right, so this is the first shot, and this is something that was snapped outside. I don't particularly know what it is because it's something fried, not sure. And then it has all types of beautiful garnish on the top of it. I don't care what it is. I just know it's beautiful, and just based on the looks of it, I probably would try to take a bite of this because it's well shot, well composed. It's beautiful. And again, look at her lighting. She's not in a controlled lighting environment. She is clearly somewhere outside or somewhere near a big window where the light is coming in nice and diffuse, giving beautiful specular highlights on this image yet again, and bringing out all of the extra crispy details right here along the different sprigs of lettuce and garnish and all of that. Not sure what it is. Doesn't matter, but it looks good. So let's take a look at another shot. This may be my favorite of the lot because of the composition with it here. So we have a round plate, but she cropped this out to where the plate isn't particularly round. She cropped it down, you know, where it's still a symmetrical side, but it's not necessarily a round plate. And then you look at how the food was placed. She does an amazing job with her own cooking, and she does an amazing job with just how she plates the food and designs it. This may be, again, at another restaurant somewhere, but I never can tell with her because she does a lot of plating and food design like this herself. So, but I love how this is laid out and plated with the extra garnish and the extra sprinkles of seasoning around the edge. It's just another fine detail to add to this meal that says, hey, I'm tasty. Try this out. Now, get a little bit closer. Again, this is top down on these lamb chops here. You get a little bit closer and you can see beautiful details. That tells me that she shot this with a nice fast shutter, and it's just going to be crispy clear, no blur or anything like that. Beautifully, beautifully done. And then lastly, it's this shot over here that I wanted to take a look at. Now, I love me some sweets and savories, and this is definitely on the sweet side with a good old trio of cannoli. Beautifully shot. She's got a different perspective. This isn't a top-down perspective on this image. This is more a sort of a straight-on, head-on view of it with a slight angle of the cannoli. And again, she's catching all of this beautiful detail from the powdered sugar, and all of the extra little garnishes on the side. And it just screams to try this, you know, it's so well done. Critique that I would give to this is I would give just a little bit more exposure on it. So let's just hit D on the keyboard, and then we'll see if we can just add a little bit more exposure on it just to brighten it just a touch, because I thought it was a little dark. Now, remember the histogram up here, this was a guide. The histogram is saying this is overexposed, but you can't look at it that way because this plate is white. So the histogram is registering a lot of the whiteness from the plate. So just play this one by ear just a touch. I'm going to push this exposure up just a little bit. And I think that looks a lot better. Maybe if I dial it back and just push up the white levels, even do that. That's pretty good. And if I want to bring out the details even more, hey, we have sharpness, we have texture, we have clarity. Clarity is going to really, really make this pop by doing that right there. because when you push the clarity up, it also adds a little bit more contrast to the image. So it just really defining the shapes and the colors within the frame. Beautifully, beautifully done. Sakaya, I've been following you and been friends with you on social media for quite a while now. We go way back, like Google Plus, way back. That's how far back she and I go. This work is beautiful, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to share your images with me. Actually, I reached out to you. It's like, hey, look, I want to feature you. Your shots are just amazing, and I think people can learn from you. And I wanted to present this to you all as hands-on photography listeners and viewers, because again, she's not the professional photographer. She's, you know what? I don't even know what Sakaya does. No, but she's definitely not a professional photographer. All of those images that I shared, they're taken with her smartphone, her iPhone. But the thing is, she takes a lot of time to look at details of framing up her composition every single time. She's always cooking. So she could be a professional chef. No, I don't think she's a professional chef. She's just someone that's really passionate about everything she does. So she sits down, puts the food together, gets her shot squared away in her mind, how she'd like to present it, put all of the meticulous details on the plate, gets her camera, lines it up just right, makes sure the light looks good, snap, boom, and she shares it. And it's just, so mouth watering. My mouth is watering right now looking at this cannoli. Lord have mercy. Whew. Be sure to give her a follow. We'll have her information showing up on the screen in the show notes. It's Sack Shoes over on Twitter. It's Sack_shoes. But check the show notes for the description and give her a follow over on Twitter and Instagram. She's amazing. All right. So that's going to do it for this week's show, folks. Now, with all of this said, I want to do a bit of a food photography lab in a future episode. I've been having you practice your flash photography and checking out your light modifiers and checking out some continuous lighting. So I hope y'all have been practicing, because we're going to continue to just roll all of those previous episodes into the current episode each and every week. Okay, so we're going to sit down and set up a little bit of a lab and do some food photography. And you know what? I might even just do it all with my smartphone, because why? You totally can. You totally can. Okay, folks, thank you again for all of the support. Be sure to give us a follow over on the social medias. I am @_Pruitt on Twitter, as well on Instagram. Make sure you check out the TWiT community, still online. That's twit.community. Have a lot of fun discussions over there too. A lot of people hanging out, talking tech, talking cameras, or just talking. It's a lot of fun. All right. Check out all the other shows here on the network. And again, folks, safely create and dominate. And I'm still waiting for justice for Breonna Taylor. Y'all take care.
Hi, I'm Jason Howell, host of All About Android, where each week I'm joined by my co-hosts Florence Ion and Ron Richards, and we talk about everything that has to do with Android. Is it news? Is it hardware? Is it apps? Well, you name it, we talk about it. We invite guests from the industry on the show. We even sometimes have people from the Android team themselves talking about what makes Android so great. And you can subscribe so you don't miss anything about the world of Android by going to twit.tv/AAA. We'll see you there.